Welcome to Belief Busters Podcast, where we change the world one belief at a time. True transformation happens when we question if the beliefs we hold are of truth, or simply someone else's belief that we have internalized as our own. I'm your host, Rev. Cherie Taylor-Jones, and I'm glad you could join us on the journey. Today, we are really blessed and fortunate to have Jamal Abdul Wajid Hassan Khan, who was born in Pakistan to Muslim parents and raised in England. And after settling in England, he became known as Wajid Hassan. He outlines his personal journey that was to lead him at the feet of his own Yogi Master, Dr. George King. He has lived an interesting life and a varied life in many fields of endeavor, from a technical background as a field service engineer to stand-up comedian with over 20 years as a union actor doing voiceover, narration, commercials, as well as TV and movie roles. He also encompasses over 40 years experience in the fields of metaphysics, healing, spirituality, and New Age concepts. An avid hiker, he even managed to climb to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in 2006, is Africa's highest mountain in Tanzania. So you can see why I'm super excited to have this conversation. Welcome, Wajid.
Thank you, Sherry. Wonderful to be on your show.
Not only because of who you are, but it's also about the conversation that we're going to talk about, that spiritual journey, and how do we shift from our indoctrinated beliefs that we were taught as children, right? I mean, our parents, our families are simply passing on what they believe is truth and what they believe is the right path to God. So I'm just kind of interested in hearing, how did you start out? What was your understanding about religion and faith?
I was born to a Muslim family. My parents moved to England when I was 3 years old. I learned how to read the Quran. I went to the mosque. I did the Islamic prayers. And so I had that upbringing, but also at the same time, when I was in England, I went to Church of England schools. And in there, the curriculum involves Bible study, hymns, carols. So I got the best of both worlds. I had an Islamic upbringing as well as a Christian upbringing. And to me, I really didn't see much difference. I was just as comfortable in a mosque than I was in a church. And as of today, I'm just as comfortable in a synagogue as I am in a Hindu temple or any place of worship. To me, they're all different variations of the same belief back to the divine source. It was around the age of 16 that I met my own spiritual guru or spiritual yogi master, Dr. George King. And from there, my concept, and again, nothing against Islam or Christianity, right, but from there, my concept changed. The philosophies that my master showed that were, for me, extremely enlightening. And some of those aspects I would love to share with your listeners.
Oh, beautiful. I love that you didn't have a sense of conflict as you were learning both Christianity and about Islam. So I just think what it sounds like is it actually opened you up to more possibilities than being on one path.
It did. I just didn't like the dogma. I didn't like how rigid some of the structure was. And the Imam would say that, that I didn't believe that he would say that the Muslims are going to go to paradise and the Jews and the Christians are going to go to hell. And I didn't believe that because I had friends who were Jews and Christians, and yes, I didn't want them to go to hell. Yes. And then at the same time, the imams, on top of the imams, you had the ministers in the Christian religion saying that, Jesus is the only one and Son of God, and only through him will you receive salvation. And I didn't believe that either. My approach is a more metaphysical, open, non-denominational, universal approach to life these days.
So Wajid, can you tell us what your process has been to really shift from organized dogma religion, right, moving into this really expansive, I mean, you talked about metaphysics. How did you journey here? How were you able to release those and come into your own?
I strongly believe that I'm a firm believer in reincarnation. I think reincarnation is a truth that needs to be told to the world. I think it's something that's been hidden. I thought it was very interesting that recently some Christian scholars have come up, have propounded that the Christian religion actually hid the truth of reincarnation. It was actually taught in the Christian religion till the Catholic Church actually stopped teaching that, and they put in the one life thing so that they could continue to hold power over their followers. And so for me, I had premonitions of previous existences and a strong premonition of being into yoga, into metaphysics in a previous life. And so that opened up when I came across the teachings of Dr. George King. I read a book that he published called The 12 Blessings. And in The 12 Blessings, you can get that from Amazon. In The 12 Blessings, he was overshadowed as a medium by the person who lived on earth 2,000 years ago, the Master Jesus. And to the mediumship of Dr. King, more teachings and enhanced teachings of the Master Jesus and his Sermon on the Mount were channeled through him to reveal a more expansive cosmic approach to life. So when I read that book, it really intrigued me. Actually, it didn't inspire me. Two things came into my mind. I thought, well, either this man is a genius or he's the biggest fraud ever. I have to investigate. So that was how I looked at it. And so, you know, as far as your listeners are concerned, I think it's very important not to believe everything that's been told to you. I believe in having an open mind and doing your own research. So I'm not here to propound any philosophies that you have to believe or not believe. But I would suggest that they keep an open mind and then make their own decision based on their own intuition and their own research.
You mentioned that you got clarity that you had been reincarnated before. How did that evolve for you, that you had that awareness?
I remember reading another book called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And in there, he recalled, different masters, yogi masters that he met in India. And I kind of totally related to that. I felt that I'd been in India before. A lot of the experiences I could totally relate to. I think when children are very young, they have recollections of their past life. But as they start growing older, they forget that and they move into this life. And I think it's important that we not dwell on our past lives, because there could be things that traumatized us in our past life. So in mercy, we're not really revealed as far as our past lives are concerned. We just follow this life. But everybody is reincarnated, and it explains also the so-called inequalities of life. Why is somebody born rich? Why is somebody born with cancer? Why is somebody a virtuoso in piano at the age of 3? Why is somebody going to college at the age of 7? I mean, it explains all these things. These are things from previous existence that they brought into this world. And so if we believe in action reaction being opposite and equal, or as the Master Jesus said, as you sow, so shall you reap, we get exactly what we deserve. We're in exactly the position that we're supposed to be in at this present moment, which is, if you look at the state of the world, is not that very good.
No, not right now, but I really think that it's an indication of transformation is ready to occur.
Yes.
That we are ready to go to a next level of consciousness is what I'm seeing. Are you sensing that as well, Wajid?
I think anybody who's anywhere sensitive, who's psychic, psychic powers are inherent within us. These are natural abilities that we have that we haven't really opened up. At one time, we were extremely evolved beings. I totally agree with you, Sherry. I think there is a awakening. There is a spiritual awakening. There is a spiritual renaissance occurring. If we look up to the skies, instead of looking down at our smartphones at the doom and gloom that the mainstream media is throwing at us, it's important now to open ourselves up and to draw inspiration and power through ourselves and raise us, not only raise ourselves up, but to also raise the consciousness of mankind and all life on this planet as well. And to me, there's two reasons why this is happening. First of all, if you study astrology, the Mayan calendar, I think, ended at 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the Mayan calendar end at 2012?
Right.
I think it ended because it was the start of the beginning of a new age that's occurring. And astrologically speaking, we're actually now from the Piscean age, we're actually now in the Aquarian age.
Right.
And the push of the Aquarian age is cooperation, is service, is raising of the vibration. So that is the planetary influences are pushing mankind towards that. And another thing which your listeners may not be aware of, the Earth herself, who I believe is most indigenous tribes know around the planet that the Earth herself is a beautiful living planetary goddess, very highly evolved spiritual being. And she herself is also raising her vibrations, and she's been asked to raise her vibrations. And that is happening every year as well. And so those two influences, I think, is causing this spiritual renaissance that's occurring. And people, I think, are waking up from, they call the great Maya, the delusion of this so-called existence.
Yes. So when people are starting to get that there's this calling for that there's something more here, do you have any tips and suggestions to help them release the dogma without it being this great sin? Releasing the dogma to really allow themselves to spiritually grow and flourish.
The thing is, we're spiritual beings in a physical body.
Right.
It's not the other way around. We're out, we have auras, we have psychic senses, we have astral bodies, we have mental bodies, we have psychic bodies. We're more than just one individual. We're a accumulation of many individuals. We have a lower self and we have a higher self, and we have, the lower self draws us into staying in the status quo. But the soul, they talk about famine, physical famine and hunger. Right now, I think the souls of mankind are starved of spiritual energy, spiritual inspiration. And so these are being bombarded now to mankind. And so I don't think there's even, doesn't even need to be a forceful desire to change, just to open-mindedness, to open yourselves up to the inspiration that is available, that is flowing right now. So there's no drastic, you must do this. It's a case of, I give myself up to the higher inspiration, to the higher being, to my higher self. I think everybody's allowed their own belief. And I think if you're a Christian, going to be a Christian, then be the best. Going to be a Buddhist, be the best. Or if you're going to be a Hindu, be the best Hindu. And, if you look at the philosophies of Sri Krishna, the Lord Buddha, and Master Jesus, I mean, they're all the same. They were just propounded in a different time, in a different culture. And how many are really honestly following these teachings? Because if they were, there would be no wars on this planet. There would be no inequalities. There would not be this hatred between the races or hatred between religions if they really, really followed. So if I can tell you, listen, if you're following a spiritual belief that you believe to be right, then follow it to the best of your ability, and don't be a hypocrite. And actually, when it says thou shalt not kill, then do not kill.
Simple, isn't it? Yes.
It is. It's so simple that it goes beyond, I think we're in this, mankind has this weird psychology that the more complicated it is, it must be good.
I agree.
But when it's so simple as draw down the energies from the higher beings, from the higher inspiration, send out the light, that's simplicity in itself. And people don't get it. But now they have to, because, they've been forced. Either they do that, or they may not even stay on the planet in the future.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel there's a great amount of release of bodies and energy that's going on right now. It's almost like they're saying, What we came to do is complete, and now we're making room for higher resonance, higher frequencies. So that's really an exciting and kind of sad time as well. It's a mixture of both. And what I hear you saying is something that I preach about frequently is it doesn't matter what path you take to God, as long as you're on a path to connect with your highest self, right?
I totally agree. Yeah, this is not a case of you must follow this or you must follow that. You, myself, and other people who are open-minded, who are sensitive, know that this change has started. I mean, if you look at the world today, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We got these endless wars. We got an economic system that favors a minority who are becoming billionaires, and millions who are poor. Again, this hatred and these wars. And now it's time, now that the Mother Earth herself is raising her vibrations. She has been asked by higher forces to become the planetary goddess. It's a case of, I believe that within the next 1,000 years there is going to be a beautiful new age that will has been seen by many seers, that they will occur, where there will be no wars, there will be no countries, there will be no borders, there will be no economic system. These things are going to happen. Dr. King, my master wrote a book back in the 60s called The Nine Freedoms, and in there, through channeling of the higher beings, he outlined the evolutionary cycle of the human race. He also went into the history of the human race as well, the true history, which is really fascinating. And one thing that he brought up, that again, we're on the threshold of probably another nuclear holocaust. This time, it's been declared that the earth herself will not be harmed. And if they do, if mankind wants to blow himself up, he will be allowed. But the Mother Earth is not going to be harmed. One aspect of raising her vibrations is the climate change, which was prophesied again in the 50s by Dr. King and the people who contacted him, that the ice caps will melt, that there will be changes in the weather, and it's already occurring. And the ionosphere is coming down, which is increasing the ultraviolet radiation, which is raising the temperature of Earth. Right. And so these things, again, are not being told. We're saying, oh, the climate change is because of pollution. Carbon emissions is just a small aspect of what's happening with climate change. It is the Mother Earth raising her vibrations. We, as a race now, have to raise our vibrations to be in collaboration with hers. Every opportunity is being given at this particular moment for us to rise, not only rise ourselves, but to raise the madness that we're in, because it is total insanity that we're in. And that's the reason I wrote my book, The Struggle for World Sanity, because it's time. It's interesting that when it was published last year, it went straight to #1 on bestseller on Amazon on 2 categories, mysticism and spirituality. And so I wrote about my experiences with my master. I wrote mystical and psychic experiences that I had, including contact with a UFO that I had when I was 18 years old. Okay. And so that's in the book. And of course, I go into the New Age and some of the cosmic teachings that were put through to our master. And what I want to offer to your listeners is a message of hope, that the things around us right now are not very good, but they will change. There will be a transformation, and there will be a new age, and there will be a new renaissance. But it's up to us on how much effort we have to put in, and it requires effort, but it requires simple effort, just drawing in the energies. I mean, one of the greatest healers on the planet that ever came was no other person than the Master Jesus. He used the same pranic energies to raise the dead, to heal the sick, make the blind see. And so those are the same pranic energies that are coming from the sun that we can throw. It's not airy-fairy. It's actually very tangible energy that you can draw down. One thing that your listeners can actually do is go and stand in front of a mirror and just hold their hands out and visualize light coming from the heart, from the palms of the hand, and
Yes.
and it'll reflect in the mirror, and you can feel tingling around the aura and your fingers. And so this is actually a very scientific energy. It's just the same as electricity, but it's just on a higher octave of existence. And just like we can't see electricity, we can't, unless we're psychic, we can't see spiritual energy. But that is the main message that's been told right now, is to send out that spiritual energy and transmute and transform the planet at this critical time. Lao Tse said the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. And if the minority right now start raising their vibrations, it has to, Dr. King said that if a butterfly flaps its wings in California, it has to affect the wind currents in Australia, one way or the other. So for one person raising their vibration, because we're all metaphysically connected as one race, it's going to help the whole race. Even if a couple of thousand people start, it could reverberate, and in history, good or bad, something has occurred and it's reverberated around the planet. Power is being given to people who want to make that change, and more power than ever before is being channeled through people who are open-minded and want to send that power out. At this time, I'm just promoting the book and the teachings of my master, and telling people, hey, get your spiritual body in gear and take some action.
So what's the one thing you want people to walk away from this conversation getting?
No matter what's going on in our lives, we have a responsibility to the younger generation. I think it's our responsibility to start raising our vibrations, sending out the light, and helping the planet so that the future generations can also exist when we're gone.
Would you tell us the name of your book and how they can get it, please?
It's called The Struggle for World Sanity. It's available on Amazon. If people want to know more about my master and his organization, they can go to aetherius.org, which is AETHERIUS.org. Also, finally, I belong to a group of people from 50 plus countries. Every day online, we send out the power. And so if people want to participate, they can do so free of charge. And they can go to 12blessings.org. That's the number 12blessings.org.
Thank you so much, Wajid. It was really an interesting conversation. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Belief Busters, where we just take a look at our beliefs from a new perspective. And we are asking you to open up your consciousness, open up your heart, open up your mind to the possibility that there's so much more. If you are enjoying these conversations about assessing your belief systems and how to transform outdated beliefs, then please subscribe and give us a positive review. To support this podcast and its transformative work, you can also become a sponsor for as little as $5 a month. You can reach Rev Cherie at info@beliefbusterspodcast.org. To continue on this journey of evolution, you can also get my book, Turning Your Why into Why Not, at Amazon or any other bookstores, which gives you practical tools to do this work. See you next time on the flip side.